Okay, so about this whole Captain Marvel thing, I got a few things to say. Number one, it feels forced, like it's part of an agenda. What do I mean by that? I mean, I'm not saying that it is part of an agenda, but that's pretty much been the order of the day for a long time. That, the girls are just as tough as the boys. No, they're tougher than the boys. No, the women are just as tough as the men. No, they're tougher than the men. They're stronger. They're better in every possible way. No, 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 no. We no longer have any damsels in distress. No, no, no. The women rescue the men. Now, I'm not saying that that's what that's a part of. I'm saying that's been the order of the day for so long that this really feels forced. It does not feel organic, which leads me to point number two. She's already overpowered. Now, Kevin Feige made the statement that she's the most powerful character we've seen in the MCU so far. And my response to that is, really? See, that's what makes me think it's a part of number one, like I said, an agenda, because there are way more powerful characters in the MCU than Captain Marvel. And Captain Marvel, if you know anything about the character, she's not an original character. She kind of evolved to where she is now. But most of the stuff she has now, she inherited. And it wasn't like an organic process with Carol Danvers getting her where she is now. In terms of her own journey, it was normally always in response to someone else, or response to Mar-Vell, or in the shadow of someone else, or matching someone else's powers, or, they tried to have her as Ms. Marvel for a while, which I thought was her best fit. But, becoming binary and a bunch of different things, they kept trying her out. And they kept trying to give her a power boost every time. So when she comes back and now she's Captain Marvel, the Captain Marvel, and she's got all this power or whatever, it doesn't feel organic. It just feels like she's overpowered just for the sake of trying to make her a powerful character. It's not like, the Silver Surfer, or it's not like Thanos, or it's not like Galactus, or it's not like a bunch of other characters on a cosmic level that were introduced into their mythos in that way. It feels more like we've got to keep turning up the levels of her power to try to make her more relevant, to try to make her more important, to try to make her more of a player in the Marvel universe, at least in the comics, and it hasn't really worked out that way, which leads me to point number three. They waited far too late to introduce her. Lord have mercy. I can't tell you the number of shows that I have seen do this, and it's always disappointing, which is why I don't understand why they keep doing it. You can't wait until you get to the end of a saga or the end of a journey and then introduce a character like, in the 11th hour that turns the tide or saves the day or gets revealed as they were the mastermind behind it all or whatever. It's the same kind of thing, same kind of disconnect we had with Baron Zemo in Captain America Civil War, because we just met Zemo and we're supposed to believe that he was orchestrating everything that was happening behind the scenes to get the Avengers to tear themselves apart. Well, see, we only had emotional attachments at that point to all of the main cast, the characters we had been with all that time. So we felt Steve's pain in chasing Bucky, and we felt Bucky's pain at, getting through his programming and realizing everything he'd done. And we felt Tony's pain when we found out that Bucky had killed his parents and Steve had known and kept that from him. Okay? And we felt the pain of the team squaring up on different sides of the Sokovia Accords because they didn't agree with, how they should be handled. Even though the criticisms were legit, I thought that was really well done. They did not all see eye to eye on how to handle that. Okay? But then you put Baron Zemo in there and he just feels disconnected from the whole thing, because we meet him and we're trying to discover his motivations, and we're trying to feel his pain, and we're trying to see his hand in everything that happened in one movie. And we've been following these characters since 2008 with the first Iron Man. It's just not the same. So that's the same thing, that's a similar thing anyway that's going on here with Captain Marvel. Okay? Putting her in the mix now, again, feels like an agenda, number one. Number two, she's all that powerful. They're going to have to explain where she's been, probably out there fighting the Kree-Skrull war. but still, we don't have an emotional attachment to her. She has not been a part of this journey with us. She hasn't even interacted with any of our favorite characters. Not Iron Man, not Hulk, not Thor, not Captain America, not Black Widow, not Scarlet Witch, nobody, okay? So we're gonna meet her for the first time in her solo film, which is set in the 90s, which I'm guessing will explain, where she's been all this time. And then the first time we see her interact with the main characters is going to be in the final Avengers movie, where they have to stop Thanos. And see, there's no way we can have emotional resonance with her. It'll only be the second time we're seeing her on screen, and the first time we see her interact with the characters that we've loved and grown attached to, and that we've seen go through all these changes. I mean, in a way, it's like they're subverting their own formula, because the genius of their formula was to give these characters a solo movie or two, then bring them together in the Avengers. So we got to know them individually. We got to see their struggles. We got to see Tony and Pepper. We got to see Tony struggling with his weapons manufacturing background. We got to see Steve in his time and then become a man out of time. We got to see Thor, learn his lessons, being humbled by being on Earth, and his love for Jane. So, we got to know these characters, and that was part of the genius framing of their strategy, but we are not really getting that same kind of long lead-in with Captain Marvel. And I guarantee you, she's going to be written to be making too much of a difference to be introduced this late. There's going to be an emotional disconnect. We've got more of an emotional connection with Shuri at this point, okay, than we do with Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel, which leads me to point number 4. She's never going to be Wonder Woman. I know that they're trying to frame her as Marvel's version of Wonder Woman, Marvel's answer to Wonder Woman, but that's never going to happen. She is never going to be as iconic. She's never going to be as well known. She's never going to be as well loved. She's never going to be as relevant as Princess Diana of Themyscira. Do you want to know why? First of all, because Wonder Woman's been around longer. Second of all, because Wonder Woman got iconicized because she wore a costume based on the American flag. And her mother, depending on which continuity you believe, Diana fought in World War I and II. Some continuities say there was actually Hippolyta or Hippolyta, however you say it, that fought in World War II. But Wonder Woman's been around fighting on American soil, fighting for democracy and freedom and liberty and for the philosophy of the West and of America against the Nazi powers for a very long time. In terms of Wonder Woman's arc, she's been interacting with these characters as Wonder Woman for a much longer time. She's had relationships with Batman and Superman and Steve and a whole bunch of other things. And Wonder Woman is a symbol. She's a symbol. She's a symbol in every way a character can be a symbol. She's a symbol of truth. She's a symbol of peace. She's a symbol of America. She's a symbol of female empowerment. She's a symbol of superheroes being on there on the front lines, being up there with the top tier characters in power, like Superman, like Martian Manhunter, like Captain Marvel, but she's always been that, or she's been that long enough for it to be established in our minds. Let me put it that way. And even though Carol Danvers has gone through a lot of changes and a lot of arcs and growing into where she is now, she never was presented, nor did she ever achieve the same type of iconic status. And you don't get those kinds of feelings when you look at her, okay? Carol Danvers is a soldier. Nothing wrong with being a soldier. Captain America's a soldier. But she's actually a soldier for an alien race, okay? Her predecessor, Mar-Vell, actually was a Kree. Carol's a human, unless they retconned it recently and I don't know about it. I may not know. But she's wearing a Kree uniform and she's using borrowed power, and it's just, she's not necessarily standing for Western values or American values per se. Maybe she is, when she's in the Air Force as Carol Danvers, but as Captain Marvel, she's representing somebody else's war, somebody else's colors, with somebody else's power. Okay, and that's just not the same level of iconic that's actually not iconic at all. Okay, she's never going to reach Wonder Woman status. It's not going to happen. So in conclusion, all the buzz I'm reading online about, her showing up and her first pictures and blah, 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 I'm just really hesitant because I really think it's going to be it's going to leave a bit of a sour aftertaste in the minds of moviegoers. And that's the last thing that we need now. The last thing that we need now, after all this long journey with the Avengers, is something that kind of sours the soup. And I personally don't want somebody coming in at the last minute who's not been a part of the action, who's overpowering everybody else, because it makes all their sacrifices look like nothing. If she just comes in and wipes the floor with Thanos, or she's just on such a quantum power level or whatever, it's just not going to have the same kind of meeting. So I'm not cautiously optimistic, I'm just cautious. Because the last thing I want to do in saying goodbye to these characters I've come to know and love, especially Chris Evans as Captain America, the last thing I want to do or have happen is for all that to happen in a movie that I'm just, kind of meh about, or I'm just really upset because some character that hasn't even been a part of it all is going to steal all the thunder, steal all the action. Just no, I'm not looking forward to that. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen. Repeat, I'm hoping that doesn't happen, but we shall see. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and ring the bell to know when new videos drop.